What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 2 of the WebBuzz Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Tiberio. We got co-host Roger Valdez right here alongside me. Roger, how's it going so far today?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Just once again, getting my day started, right? You're ending your day, and I'm just getting my day started out here in Guam. So I'm super stoked. I got my coffee ready. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to drop some gold bars.
That's it. That's right. We talked about that last week, folks, on episode number 1. This show's all about dropping gold bars. Screw the gold nuggets. You guys can go pay thousands and thousands of dollars from the gurus to get the little nuggets. You show up here for free and get some big gold bars. But I'm gonna put Roger on the spot here for a quick second. I didn't tell him about this or anything when we were backstage before we came out and started this live here. Roger, it is really good to see you in the house and safe, and no more chickens chasing you and pecking at your feet. I know my social media following has had a blast seeing that on Instagram today.
Oh, man. All right. Well, yeah, I'm in the house. I'm in the small, home studio and everything going on. But I guess we got to tell them the story.
Yeah. So last night, Roger and we jumped on a call for another opportunity. Somebody that we both know, mutual business contact. From our past, reached out to us, wanted to show us something. And I don't know about you guys, folks, but I don't know the last time that I've ever been on a meeting, discussion, video call, whatever the case, with a business partner. And they said, hold on one second, guys. I got to chase the chicken out of here because it's pecking at my feet. And literally, if you don't believe me, go over to Instagram at Sean Tiberio, check out my story from today, and you will see Roger chasing a chicken out of his garage area where he happened to be jumping on the call to get some quiet time for the call. He's chasing this chicken out of the garage with a fly swatter. Funniest thing in the world.
Hey, this is the COVID life. Not even that. It's just the startup life, right?
Exactly.
You find that the quiet kind of side of the house where you can kind of make some calls. And I just happened to be in the garage at that moment. And out here in Guam, there's a lot of wild chickens. So it just, one of them made it into the garage, wanted to make a guest appearance on our call. And man, everybody else had a good time except me, I guess.
So the good news is no chickens running around today.
No chickens.
The bad news is everybody tuning in live right now, unfortunately, you don't get to see it happen in real life, but you can go over to Instagram at Sean Tiberio, and in the story for probably the next 16, 17 hours till it comes down, check out the video of Roger chasing the chicken with a fly swatter. I'm going to have some fun with that video, just so you know. So yeah,
thanks, Sean. I really appreciate that little segue here and introduction with the chicken story.
Absolutely. So, welcome everybody to the second episode of the WebBuzz Podcast, the place for really all the buzz going around the web. And today, Roger and we've got a really impactful topic. And when we were talking about it actually last night, we kind of realized that there's a lot to get through in this topic. So it's probably going to turn into I shouldn't even say probably, it's going to be a multiple series podcast piece that you're going to want to tune back in over the coming weeks as we start to break some of this stuff down. But really what we're going to start to unpack is, as a small business owner, Roger and I hear it all the time. We talk to a ton of them, pretty much daily. We're on calls with small businesses that are trying to figure out how to get more traffic online, how to get more visibility online, how to get their online space to generate leads, revenue, right? Be a valuable asset into their business. And the problem with it is many just dive right in and go and spend thousands of dollars. They just start dumping money into a website or into a web presence. Some guru told them on stage that this is what you got to do for credibility, or some program out there said this is what you need to actually be taken serious. And they just throw the money at it. And while there's some truth to those pieces, you need it. It brings value. It brings credibility. It can do some very positive things for our business. If you don't do the right things up front, or if you don't take a couple of these things into consideration early on, you're just wasting money. What do you say to that, Roger? What do you think when people do that?
I absolutely agree. I mean, we've had this conversation multiple times, not only you and I, but we've also had it with a number of. It just feels like it's an ongoing conversation with every client that comes on board with Top Results Consulting,
Absolutely.
right? So it's kind of a big explanation that we have to go through, because not everybody really understands what the website really is going to do for their business, right? And that's where it all starts. It's really understanding what that tool really is. And some of the things that we kind of spend a lot of time really stressing and explaining to people is a website's not just an entity that just lives on the internet, and when you put it out there, people are going to come. You should treat it like an employee. And I know, Sean, you have great examples that you've used on client calls when we're on there, and even presentations in regards to literally, would you pay somebody to sit by a phone that's unplugged? I love that analogy, right? Because that's exactly what it is. When you have a website, you do nothing with it. You just have a good looking website, cost you a couple $1,000s. You put it out there and you never touch it. It's an unplugged phone. Nothing's going to happen, guys. Literally nothing. So there's an entire process that needs to go on, and it's an ongoing process as well that obviously we're going to get into today. But yeah, so I'm gonna say I absolutely agree with you that it's something that needs to be understood at a higher level to really work for your business.
In case people haven't heard that analogy before, what I've kind of related it to that kind of makes total sense. You're a business owner. You're out there. You're about to hire somebody, and you choose to hire this individual who's going to sit in your office, and their job is to just field phone calls, answer phone calls. People are calling in. Hopefully they're, calling in for the right reasons to do business with you. But that's that person's job, is to answer the phone. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, you realize that person hasn't even answered the phone yet because the phone's unplugged. It's not even plugged in to the wall, or it's a cell phone that has no service coming to it. How long would you actually pay that person to keep sitting there in that scenario? And a lot of times that right there is the marketing side of most businesses, especially when we see it from a website side. They just pump money at it, and at the end of the day, it's like an unplugged phone that's no way is it ever going to ring.
Absolutely. No, it's that's why it's like I always had looked for a really good explanation on how to put that out there. You've heard me talk about the corporate scenario and trying to really kind of deliver, because it is a little bit of a daunting kind of concept to kind of grasp and really put a lot of effort and trust behind, right? If you don't understand what that tool is going to do for you. But I really kind of related. I really kind of, just really like that unplugged phone. Everybody can relate to that. So that was a great job on that.
Now, all the business owners out there are going to run around and look at their phones and make sure that their phone is plugged in when they see their secretary or something sitting around on it. So why don't you kick us off here, Roger? We know there's a lot to unpack here. We're never going to get into it all on one episode. We're going to break these down over the coming episodes in the coming weeks. But let's kind of hit high level first, just to give the folks out there watching, listening, kind of an idea of where this is going, all the components to it. And then we'll dive deep into probably what I feel is the most important one out of the gate. All the other ones are very important, but if you skip this topic that we're going to get into today, the rest still won't work to the highest level.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's dive into this, guys. So I want to kind of start this by saying the list that I'm about to give you and the process that we're going to kind of like be talking about for the next couple episodes. Just keep in mind, every agency, every company is going to have a different process. You might even have a different process, right? So take this as a guide, right? Don't take this like completely set in stone. Take it as a guide and how you can build around it, right? That makes sense for your business. So for us and for Top Results and what we do with our clients and how we take them through this journey to really build a very strong employee, right? A digital employee or a website in this case, right? It's essentially a 7-step process, right? So those 7 steps here, I'll kind of give those to you. If anybody out there is taking notes, this is what it is. Step 1 is basically going through your avatar. So what is your avatar? It's your ideal audience, right? So before you can do anything in any business, regardless if it's a website or a business itself or whatnot. Obviously, you have to have a service and you have to have a product if that's what you're doing. But who's going to buy that product? What problem are you solving? There's a whole set of questions that go around who's actually going to do business or who you're going to do business with, right? So what we always like to do is take a few steps back with our clients and really talk about who their target audience is. So that's going to be number one, the avatar. And step two is once you identify who that avatar is, who that audience is, right? Then we're going to dive into what we call keyword research. So some of you might have heard keyword research. If you have any type of background in digital marketing, you've probably seen that word thrown around. Those of you that are brand new, I know we have people from all, walks of life, experience and everything, but keyword research has to do with looking for the phrases that people are typing into Google or Bing or any other search engine out there, looking for your particular product or service. Okay, so those are the key words. It's important to really go out there, do some research, and find some good keywords, some popular keywords that your potential avatar, your ideal client, is typing into these search engines. So that's number two, making that list of keywords. Number three is setting up a content strategy with those keywords. As you can see, I'm building on this list. It's not just a random list that, hey, this is what you have to do. It's literally a process. Once you identify who your avatar is, then you do some keyword research to find what this avatar is typing into Google. Once you have that list of keywords, now you can go into setting up a content strategy, right? What type of content am I going to create for my website to really attract and add value to this avatar, okay? So once you have that content strategy and you have some things that you're going to talk about. And in this case, it could be your service pages. It could be blog posts or any type of what we call pillar pages. So anything of that nature, those are just kind of the different pages and different content that you want to have on the website. And that's all being driven by the keyword research, right? But once you have all this content strategy and you have all these ideas and you have everything, then we go into a process that's called the silo creation. Okay, so that might be a little harder concept or term that a lot of people on this call might not be familiar with, but the silo creation is basically now taking all those topics, all that content strategy, and breaking it up into a very strategic silo. So for example, you put your, let me see here. If you had a product and you had, maybe you're selling, I don't know, let's just do it really simple here. You're selling candy bars, right? Just kind of keeping it fun here, not getting into anything specific. You're selling candy bars. Well, you're going to create one page about a certain candy bar, right? And then you're going to then, out of your research, you're going to create pages that are going to talk directly to the avatar that would eat that candy bar, right? That potentially would purchase that candy bar. That's more pages. And then from those avatar pages, we link to any type of questions that particular avatar would have about that candy bar. So now you start creating what we call a silo structure. And the reason we create our content that way is because it pushes all that power, basically all that knowledge or all that search down to the main sales page, which would be your main candy bar page, right? So that's an entire kind of process. So, well, I know if it's a little confusing for some of you, don't worry about it. Sean and I are going to jump deep into it as we go through these episodes, so you guys have a clear understanding. But now I'm gonna be
honest real quick. I'm the hungry avatar that's craving a candy bar now, thanks to you.
we'll have to do that after the show.
I think when I leave tonight to head home from the office here, I'm gonna have to stop and grab myself a candy bar now.
I think I haven't eaten breakfast, so I just had my coffee. So I think that's why I'm thinking food or some kind of candy. But yeah, so the silo structure with the candy bar, hopefully I didn't throw anybody out there. But once you have your silo structures, is now kind of thinking now, because this should be essentially like on a whiteboard, on a spreadsheet, somewhere where it's offline. This is something that you're still creating offline. I haven't even gotten to the online kind of set of things. This is just you really planning out a very well-structured website. And that's literally the next step, developing a well-structured website. Now you can go to your web developer, or if you are the web developer, you're the one creating this, now you're ready to start building your website. The big mistake people do is they go directly to the step we're in right now, developing a well-structured website before they've done all the steps we just talked about. That's where you get a website that's not well-structured. The message is all over the place, and Google doesn't understand exactly where it should index you, right? What kind of people it should put you in front of. So it puts you out there and you're not being ranked for the correct terms, which means you will never get any traffic or any leads, right? So developing a well-structured website will come basically next after you've done all that work that we just talked about. And then the very last step here, once you have all this work done, you created a well-structured website, the very last step would be promoting your brand, promoting your website. Now you got to get out there. This is a step that I am super surprised, Sean, we see this all the time. People spend thousands of dollars. Once again, that's how we started the show today. Is like, there's a lot of money being spent, yet you're not promoting what you just bought. and Sean and I sometimes are like, why not get out there, promote it? That's the only way people are going to know you exist, right? So this includes sharing your link to your website on social media, anywhere people would listen. You need to be out there promoting this website so people go there, right? So the more traffic you get, the more popularity you get, the better rankings you will get as a result. Okay. And then I do have a last step here, Sean. The only thing I say, pretty much repeat the process.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna add to something there. We hear it all the time, that promotion piece, and I think what we're about to dive into is going to help clear that up. But I know I hear this all the time. I'm embarrassed to promote it because I don't like it, because it's confusing, because it doesn't look good. It doesn't spell out what I'm talking about. It doesn't. It's just not what I feel like my brand or my business should be putting in front of my prospective customers, prospects, clients, that kind of stuff. We hear that one over and over again. And if you're sitting there right now going, yeah, that's me. I've got a website. I've done some of these things. I've invested a lot of money into this, but I'm embarrassed to actually put it out there. I would challenge you to take a look and go back for a sec, kind of go backwards, take a few steps back, take a look at it and go, do I really have it dialed in for the right audience? Have I even put the effort into thinking about who that is and what are those, candy bars? We can go a little deeper than that. I'm not just a hungry candy bar eater right now. If I was going to go buy a candy bar this moment, thanks to Roger, I'm going after a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm going after a Kit Kat or maybe a Snickers. Like, those are my three jams. That's where I'm going. So if you're trying to sell me an Almond Joy, you're missing the mark. That's the level and over the coming weeks, over the coming episodes, we're going to help break down how we do it here at Top Results Consulting for our clients so that you can go out there and start taking action on it. But if that's you sitting there going, man, I'm a little confused about my website, I'm embarrassed about it, I don't really want people to see it, I would challenge that. Is it really dialed in? And do you need to go back and check that out? So before we dive in deeper into the actual avatar, right? Probably the most crucial element to starting a business is figuring this avatar out. Before we dive into it, I do want to throw out there, if you guys are watching live, we are syndicated across a couple different platforms. I'm doing my best in between things to monitor here on the iPad and pay attention to the chats coming in to the box here. If you got something you want to chime in, feel free, throw it in the comments. You're watching it later on a replay, throw it in the comments. You're watching this later up on YouTube or wherever the case, leave us a message. Roger and I will do our best to get you some clarity, answer whatever that question is. So with that being said, let's go deep here for the next couple minutes or so, Roger, on the avatar end of it. Anything you want to kind of hit on first before maybe I kind of take another stab into the elements?
Yeah, just one thing I definitely want to add as I was listening to you talk there is, like, if you are listening and you are a little lost and kind of like thinking, hey, that's me, that kind of feels that, like, my website is either I have it or I don't have it and I'm going through the process, I'm confused. It's all about getting involved, guys. So just get involved in the process. And that's why this first step, finding who your avatar, your target market is going to be huge. So just staying involved in the process is one thing that a big tip that I can really give. A lot of people are really disconnected. They don't want to be involved in that. They just want the website up there. But to your point, Sean, you said it right there. A lot of people is like, that's not really my brand. It doesn't represent me. Well, whose fault is that, right? You have to get involved. That's the only way you're really going to be confident in what's built for you in regards to your online presence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got a worksheet that I know you and we like to use it a lot at Top Results. We've kind of taught a lot of this with our clients, whatnot. Now, if you're watching and maybe later on, maybe listening to this on one of the podcast players out there, go back, find this episode on YouTube so that you can actually watch this section if you want to see the worksheet, because I am going to share it up to the screen here in a second. But before I get into that, why do you want to spend the time dialing in your avatar? Before we even talk about how, right, all the components of it and what this worksheet can do for you, why do you want to do it? Ask yourself this question. And Roger, actually, I'll ask you and see if it's ever happened to you.
Sure.
Have you ever felt like a business is trying to market something? You're a scuba diver. Maybe there's dive companies out there, or dive products out there that you've seen their advertisement, you've seen their marketing, you've seen social media things to them, or whatever the case, and you feel like they're talking almost like they knew something about your last dive and a situation or a feeling or whatever the case, that marketing almost hit you in the spot. Like were they underwater with me? Have you ever had that happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had, I mean, when I'm out there kind of looking for equipment or actually looking for boat dives, you know, when we're going to go out and looking for some kind of tour, we are a consumer. My wife and I, she just got certified herself. She's all over the internet right now, searching for these dive shops, looking for boat dives and for us to go out and different things to do now that she's certified. So yeah, I mean, that's how we're making decisions. We're getting in there, and the ones we're picking are the ones that tell that story and really speak to us, right? They're not trying to bombard us with a bunch of marketing and sales right off the bat. They're pretty much telling a story and making us feel like, man, I want that, right? But yeah.
And the reason that happens is because they know exactly who they're talking to. They're not just talking to everybody with that messaging. They're talking to the person like you and your wife who are out there searching, whether it be for a boat dive or searching for a piece of equipment. I know my girlfriend Deanna and I, we experience this a lot when we're looking for certain things for the canyon community, or, you know, canyoneering world that we're in. I see it a lot just in day-to-day stuff. I do a lot of, I'm a contractor by trade. It's my background before all of this WebBuzz podcasts, TRC business, all that kind of stuff. So I still do a lot from a woodworking standpoint and construction side. And I see it all the time. I get hit with things. I'm like, man, I need that tool. Yeah, everything about that tool just screams what I need because of the situation that I've been in. And it's because they've dialed in their avatar. They're not trying to talk to everybody. They know exactly who they're talking to, who that product or service fits, what's the benefits to it, why it's designed for exactly who that person it's targeting for. And as a business, right, and this translates into your website, when you can get to that level, I say this all the time, the greatest gift that a business owner could ever give themselves is the ability to think exactly like their customer. If you could step into the shoes of your customer, think exactly like them to the level that we're about to break down, that the sheet will help you get to, it's almost like stealing candy from a kid. We'll stay on the candy train here. It's like that easy to do business, where I almost feel like I'm taking candy away from a kid because I know exactly what's going through their mind. So when we craft a message, when we get on a call, when we put something to our website, we put something out there, it's speaking to the person that we want it to speak to. And we're not worried about all the people that it misses because they're not the person or the subcategory, so to say, of our operation. They're not our target. They're not who we need. So with that, let's go ahead and pull in. We're going to get fancy here. Throw up the avatar sheet. Everybody should be able to see that now if you're watching this on one of the live broadcast streams out there. This is our kind of go-to customer avatar worksheet. And there's a bunch of different varieties of them out there, but this one happens to be the one we've created here at Top Results. It's what we've kind of given and worked with our clients on. And there's a lot to unpack in here. I'm not going to go detail into it, but I do want to highlight some of the key pieces. And Roger and I, we were talking before the broadcast went live here. We're gonna create a page that you guys can go to and download and get your copy of this. So if you want to use this exact copy to fill it out for your business, we'll link that up in the show notes. It'll be in the descriptions of all the different places that this is out at. We'll go back and throw this into the comments of the live stream so that those that were on live, liked whatever they might see it, they can get it. So you guys can get a copy of it. Don't think you got to take a screenshot of this screen and try to figure it out off of this tiny little thumbnail. But the customer avatar worksheet, the main component of it is really right down the center. That's where you want to start. And this kind of breaks up the demographics of your individual. Now, demographics is very simple. It's who it is, their age, maybe their age range, gender. You might have some, like for us, maybe we design a product that's really more so for a female consumer, or maybe it's more for the male side. Maybe your product's both. It's okay to have both, so male and female. Some other details like marital status, age of children, these type of things, location. You might have certain elements of your business that are very specific to a city or town. Maybe your product or service is a little more stretched, or maybe you have different products depending on the different areas. So this is the demographics of an individual. And honestly, this is where most businesses stop. They kind of have an idea early on that they've got to design their business around somebody, and they can tell us that. But Roger, you've probably heard it. Most of the time, the information we get, we could just fill it out in that first tiny section, and it's just basic demographics.
That's it, man. It's as easy as that. If you follow this worksheet, it literally tells your web developer. And in this case, that's basically where the seat that I sit in the team that I kind of manage at Top Results is when we see this, this makes it so much easier for us to help you kind of build out all those pieces that we talked about. I mean, you start uncovering everything about your business that you probably didn't even know yourself. So absolutely, man.
Now, to take it deeper, all right, because demographics is great. That really helps. It starts the process. But where the magic lies is in the 4 boxes all around that center kind of demographic column. And this is where we get into what's known as psychographics. Psychographics is the emotional side. It's the buying trigger. If you're taking notes, writing things down, you want to make a mental note, pin this section of a video or the audio or whatever, I would leave you with this. If you take nothing else from today, your prospects, your customers, they buy on emotion. They make decisions on emotion. They confirm it with the logic. So the magic is your marketing, your messaging, the stuff on your websites, the marketing that you put out to drive back to your website needs to be against the emotional triggers. So we start with the top left-hand side there. You see there is a box for goals and values. Very simple. Ask yourself, this individual, real estate Sally, mid-aged, 45 to 65, female in, I don't know, we're in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles right now. So we'll say resides out in Los Angeles, has older kids that are out of the house. They're not young kids. That's kind of who I'm speaking to here. Well, what is real estate Sally's goals in life? What are they trying to do? What do they value? Well, some goals that they might have are they want to, downsize a little bit and start to enjoy the latter years of their life. They want to travel a little bit more. Maybe not as much with COVID right now, but maybe that'll change in the coming months. But they're looking for kind of, tier 2, so to say, of life. Now, what do they value? They still probably value something like a safe environment, a nice place, respect from somebody that they're going to do business with, these type of things. Family is another probably big value that they have. Safety, these type of things. So you want to break down goals, values, because now I have an idea of what is this person striving for. That's going to allow me to use some of that in those detailed pages, sections, and into our additional marketing. Same thing on the far right side, top right side of this sheet. You've got challenges and pain points. This is the money right here. This is what's driving them to be searching for whatever it is that you've got. Whatever product or service you're doing, it's stemming from a challenge or a pain point that they have. So just break it down. What's some of the challenges real estate Sally's having? Well, if she's trying to sell her house to downsize into a condo to be able to live the latter years a little more free, well, the challenge right now is COVID. Real estate market may be a little slow. Higher interest rates, confusion on what real estate agent to pick go from. Confused, is the real estate agent the only way to sell my house? And some of the challenges through pain points, maybe trust. Maybe she's a single. Maybe this avatar that we're tying to is a widow or a single female. Well, pain point is she's kind of on her own. No other decision maker around. Nobody to bounce the decisions off of. These type of things. Anything you want to add on those two boxes, Roger? Because that's really, those two bring even more value into this whole mix than just hitting that demographic side.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just want to kind of really point out as people are following along. Now, if you really think about the original list that I kind of read off at the beginning, what's the next step? The next step is keyword research. So if you look at the sheet as Sean's going through it and he's asking these deep questions about this avatar, that's literally giving you your keywords, your starting point with your keywords. So not to get any further down the line on the list that we read off, is this sheet is a great segue into that keyword research next step.
100%. And that's always a spot that I know a lot of our clients get stumped on. They question, like, what are the keywords? What should I be? Blah, 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 and they kind of forget going back. They've already done a lot of the legwork.
Right.
And this is why I say the greatest gift that a business owner could ever give themselves is to think like their customer and prospect. Because if you can think like them, all of that next step, the keyword research element, what's that person going to be typing in? You just got to step in their shoes for a second and ask you, what would I search for? What would I be writing? And we can start doing the research around that.
Yeah, you can't overcomplicate it. You have to, the only way to really kind of start is doing organic yourself, right? Just organically fill out this form, what you feel, put yourself in your avatar's shoes, right? And really kind of just go at it. Because when you work with an agency like Top Results Consulting, we're looking for a starting point. You know your business better than anybody. So these are some of the questions that we need to know, so then we can go a little deeper. But that's why it's so important to kind of go through this, just naturally fill it out. Don't try to, overcomplicate it. Just kind of fill it out, share it with us, your employees, your partners, things like that. Make sure it's kind of the exact kind of ideal client, and that's a great starting point. And then you kind of go into the deep keyword research. That's the next step.
Absolutely. So to kind of wrap it down a little bit here, without getting too deep into it, because a lot of it's just, you got to download the sheet and start filling it out. And when you start filling it out, you'll start realizing kind of where maybe your stump point is, or you'll start seeing where the light bulb will come on. But bottom left-hand corner, source of information. The big question here is, where does my ideal person, this avatar, this real estate Sally, for example, where does she consume information? If she's going to go out and do some research, does she actually do it on Google? Does she do it through websites? Does she do it through social platforms? Is it, old school, maybe more of a flyer or a letter or something like that to her house? Like, where is it that they like to get their information from? Because that's going to give you a lot of insight into how are you going to build the marketing around this avatar, and what elements do you maybe need on your your site to help support that. If they like graphs and charts, well, then maybe you need to have some graphs and charts inside of your online mix so that when they get there, it's kind of, it feels, again, I go back to, it feels like you've almost created this for them specifically. That's the feeling they're getting, which is what we're going for. Now, the far right side, far bottom corner right side, here's where we're kind of future thinking. And this leads into, this will probably be a big topic that we'll get into on a future episode down the line here. This concept between marketing and sales synergy, and the two of them playing hand in hand. This bottom right-hand side is, you're starting to future think, what are the objections, the common objections that Real Estate Sally's going to throw at me? What's some of the common objections that they have with maybe the type of product or the service, the process, something like that? Frequently asked questions of the past that you're used to getting from a very similar avatar. Does that apply to Real Estate Sally in our example? And if it does, I want to know that now. Because again, I go back to, if I were to go to Roger and say, hey, our biggest objection that we're going to get is all these gurus throwing out that it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for a very well done website and really highly optimized and all this stuff. We're going to get hit with that. People are going to tell us they can't afford it. Well, Roger right away knows now, as he's creating elements of the TRC website, what do we need to put in there to educate why it doesn't need to cost thousands and thousands of dollars right out of the gate. So that, again, that business owner gets there, starts to see it, starts to really, in our other forms of marketing, blending some of that in. And then finally, the role of this person in the decision. Are they the sole decision maker? Are they a supporter in it? Is there somebody else that's involved in that decision process? And again, this kind of leads us now into that sales side. And if our marketing and our sales is starting to align, and we'll break down what that really means for sure in a future episode. When those two start to align and you're able to answer this up on the front end for the marketing end and build marketing into your website to support that, again, I go back to, it is like taking candy from a kid, because your sales team doesn't have to struggle anymore. They know they've got a resource that they can go to or drive the prospect over to, put them in front of, that the marketing team has helped it out. And before I kick it back over to Roger, I see him shaking his head. He's got some things I know he wants to drop. More gold bars come flying out here in a minute. But some of you are probably thinking, yeah, that sounds great, Sean, but I am marketing and I am sales, and that's perfectly fine. There still needs to be a synergy. You almost have to think of the two as one, even though you are the individual controlling both of them. You want to think from a sales side, and at the same time, you want to think from a marketing side on every aspect of it. So go ahead, Roger. I see you're like ready to go. So let it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. No, it's just, there's so much packed into kind of like all this stuff, right? And I'm holding back, Sean. I'm holding back so much because I know we want to kind of break this up. It is a lot. We don't want to overwhelm as well, right? The whole point of this is to help and add value and make sure that you guys can follow along and implement, take action. So what I do want to maybe even leave you guys with on this portion of things is everything that we're doing here, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is add value to our avatar. And that's where, when we leave it as simple as that, we want to add value to the avatar. Everybody on the other side basically, is like, how do I do that? How do we get this done? Well, these are the steps. That's how we're going to add value. We have to figure out who we're talking to. We have to do the research on what these people are typing into Google. What are they interested in? And then we have to create pieces of content that will speak to them, that will relate to them. And when they find you, because one of the things that we also have to, giving tough love to somebody sometimes, nobody really at the beginning, if they don't know you, they don't trust you, you haven't been out there yet, you're brand new, nobody really cares about your brand or who you are. They care about how you can help them. Let's just be realistic, right? Like when I'm looking for a product or a service, I'm not looking for a brand. I'm looking for who is the best solution for my problem, right? So if you can create content, meaning in this case, blog posts for your website that speak to that, you answer every question your avatar would have in the form of blog posts, then they're going to find you. They're not necessarily going to find your brand. They're going to type into Google the question. Your blog post will be, hopefully it's structured correctly and it ranks on the top, search results. And they click on your result, they read it, and that content should speak to them, should add a lot of value. And then they'll do a little more research and find out who your brand is, give you a call, and hopefully become a client. And that, imagine if you have multiple blog posts out there, then you have more opportunities to get that person to do business with you.
I'm just going to kind of jump in right here. And that tough love piece, I'm not even going to say it's tough love. That was straight up truth. You are just getting started. And the way Roger said, I get it. It might come off, maybe a little straightforward and kind of arrow to the heart, so to say. But let's get real for a second. They don't care about you. They do, to a sense. People want to know that they're doing business with a human, with a physical person, and the days of just buying into a brand. And we're not the Amazons and the Nikes and the Coca-Colas anymore. It's just not the way that business is going. People connect with businesses because of people, but at the early onset, they don't know you personally very well, and they haven't gotten to trust you just yet. So that's where what Roger just said was like, that was a whole bag of gold bars that came flying down. That you've got to be able to answer that quick. And the only way that you can, right? Again, we're going to get into these deeper pieces in the coming weeks on how to do this and what you need to break down. But if you can't even sit there today and tell us or tell yourself, what are some of those objections? What are the non-trust pieces? What are they still waiting to hear from so that they can have trust in me, have trust in my business? It's going to be really hard to market, to do things online, to get that website visitor to take the next step, to go the next level, fill out that form, visit more of your page, spend more time on that website. And again, this is why we started off with this piece right here is so crucial. All the other ones are power, but it's like a 50 caliber machine gun without a 50 caliber bullet. It's trying to put I go back military all the time. It's like trying to put a 7.62 round into a 50 caliber machine gun. That's a bad mamma jamma of a weapon, but not with that 7.62 bullet in it. It won't fire. Your website's the same way. Don't put the right ammo into it. I don't care how mean you make it. It's just not going to give you anything that you want.
That's right. That's right. No, I'm loving this for this piece, because this is where it all starts. Without the avatar, it is extremely hard to get found. It is extremely hard to gain momentum with your online presence. So hopefully you guys got some value from some of this, and we're here to add value, right? So we encourage you. Literally, we want you to reach out, as Sean says over and over, is like, reach out with your questions. We're here to answer them. Don't feel like you're alone, because over and over we hear it's like, we ask, all right, you want to come on board with our agency, you're ready to get started, do something with your website, and the first thing we ask, do you have an existing website? What do we hear, Sean? A lot of times, I think so. I think there's something out there. We're like, what? you don't even know if you have a website or not, and I'm laughing, just kind of, I'm not to kind of target. This is reality, guys. Many entrepreneurs are in that situation because it's new to them, and that's why we're here. At the end of the day, that's why Sean and I created this program. We want to put some value on it. We want to help, but we can only help if you ask, right? So definitely send us those questions.
I'll be honest too. I'm gonna actually we're gonna showcase somebody real quick. One of our clients is on watching live, and he threw a little comment in here. I'm gonna pull it in. This came in from John Paul over in Jersey, saying thanks for all the websites you guys have done for us. JP, somebody that we service a number of his companies and a number of his websites. And when you were just saying, when we talk to people and they're like, I think I have one. JP wasn't saying, I think I have one. He knew he had one out there, but he was one of those that said right out of the gate when we started working with him, I got it, but it's not the best thing. I'm not very happy about it. I don't like what's out there because it's missing all of these components and to see what's happened to JP and his businesses just by putting some focus, number one, on the avatar, really getting clear on about 3 or 4 elements, and then that translation into the key components of his site. And I know you could talk a little bit deeper on it. We've got a case study on our website. If you guys want to hear from JP a little bit about that, just check that out at topresultsconsulting.com. Scroll down, you'll see the case study section. John Paul from Anchored Homes. But it was kind of cool. I saw his comment come in. I figured I'd give him a little shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, John Paul is a great example of somebody that knew exactly what was happening. He's very tech savvy. He knew exactly what was happening. He was just wondering, he's like, why am I not seeing those results that are supposed to be happening, right? So when we did a deep dive on his existing presence and did some restructuring when we did the redesign of his site, it's not, he was missing, we just needed to do a couple tweaks. And it came down to creating a couple extra pages, going back to the content strategy, finding the right keywords, identifying that avatar. And in a couple months, now he's ranking for the correct keywords in the correct places, right? So yeah, it's trusting the process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, we will give you guys a link. It'll be linked up in the show notes in the description. You guys can go and download that avatar worksheet. I encourage you, go download it, use it, print a handful of copies out because you've got more than one avatar in your business, and you're going to want an avatar sheet for each particular avatar that you're marketing to. Start with just one. Work your way through it, get comfortable with it. And then trust me, it's probably a 10, 15, 20-minute max process after that to just sit down and fill out the sheet. It's going to give you a really clear blueprint to then use in the next elements. And then as always, we'll start breaking that down a little bit deeper in the coming episodes. Anything you want to leave them with real quick, Roger, before we sign off?
All I can do is take that download, guys, share it out, spread the love. We created that for you guys. If you're on here and you download it and you see some value, share it with your network of people. We want it to get out there. We want to help more people. So yeah, hopefully that sheet helps a lot of people out.
And if you guys have episode ideas, topics, questions, things that you want Roger and I to break down on future episodes, simply reach out, send us a message on Facebook or Instagram at Top Results Consulting. You could look up Roger and I on Facebook and Instagram and just send us direct messages. At the end of the day, if there's a burning kind of topic, you want to know more about it, and it involves the digital marketing space, inbound marketing, website development, SEO, a ton of different components that go into that, reach out. Let us know. We'll work that topic into a future episode. So with that being said, it's Thanksgiving week. We're about 2 days away from Thanksgiving. Some of us, tomorrow is Thanksgiving for Roger out there in the middle of the Pacific. So happy early Thanksgiving to you, my man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's literally tomorrow over here. It's where America's day begins, right? Out here in Guam. So yeah, we're literally like 18 hours ahead of most of you guys. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Yeah, super excited for that. Spend some time with the family out here.
Perfect. And with everybody else, happy early Thanksgiving to you guys. And we will catch you next week on another episode of the WebBuzz Podcast. Till then, here's to your success.